For some, the belief in God brings hope, faith, and a sense of purpose. But a growing number of people are speaking out about the opposite belief, that there is no God. For some, this is a slap in the face. The more extreme even think it should be punishable by death. But atheists insist it's time to spread the word. Clifton Joseph has more.
There's a conversation going on right now. From the young skeptics at summer camp
there was no camps for humanists,
Get up and burst out
to the crusading atheist hip-hopper to basement atheist meetups.
I mean, what God are you talking about?
Unbelievers are congregating, coming out and spreading the word.
Across the sky, now I spend all my time. I'm trying to save you.
In meetings like this one in Whitby, Ontario, ex-Muslims, ex-Jews, and ex-Christians share their coming out stories.
Losing my religion was not something I did easily. It was one of the hardest things I did in my life. You know, I thought I might lose my family and friends.
The fear of losing family and friends is real for the people in this basement room, who meet to share their common experiences and gain strength from each other as they come out.
I would say that George Bush and Osama bin Laden prompted this conversation.
If I tell people that I have left Islam, then I am a fair game to be killed.
I am infinitely more happy as a committed atheist than I ever was as a disillusioned and doubting Christian. And in this room, I feel relief and comfort.
Some people are calling this time in history the atheist moment. Others call it the atheist pushback. There's no doubt there is a neo-atheist movement afoot, as evidenced by recent bestsellers like The God Delusion, God is Not Great, and Letter to a Christian Nation. To the majority of North Americans, the writers of these books are heretics and pagans, but they're part of a growing trend to examine the big question about God's existence and the purpose of life and the role religion plays in our public sphere.
Trying to save you.
I was watching a hummingbird yesterday in the hollyhocks, absolutely gorgeous, and when you see something like that, it's part of the reflected glory. The whole of nature is an expression of the mind of God, I believe, and we are just as we are.
Tom Harper is a theologian and author whose lifelong study of religion has only sharpened his sense of awe in God's creations.
And the whole of the galaxy spinning beyond, I mean, right now, billions upon billions, as you know. I mean, it just staggers imagination.
It does boggle the mind, and the recent images of the seemingly infinite cosmos are used by both the believers and the non-believers to back up their case. The believers say, how could this heavenly scene happen by chance without an intelligent designer? The non-believers cite infinite regression. If God made all of this, who made God?
True belief in God involves a commitment of the whole person to that ineffable mystery, the glory or the splendor at the center of all life. God is in and through all of that, from the butterfly right through.
Are these butterflies evidence of a higher power, a God, or are they simply a natural phenomenon? Beautiful, yes, but godly, maybe. Butterflies are often pointed to as proof of God's existence and of his exquisite designer patterns. But while butterflies undoubtedly are beautiful, and admittedly, I grew up thinking of them as one of God's more spectacular creations, the question must be asked, are butterflies and other natural wonders proof enough that there is a God?
I'm a child of one lesser God. No superstitious baloney, your moody, temperamental, invisible homies. If it exists, then show me.
Eddie Collins, a.k.a. Graydon Square, doesn't think so. He's an ex-gang member from Compton, California, and he served his time in the war on terror in Iraq. Now, he's taking up the cause of atheism like a soldier in the army of the godless.
Barry, how you doing? I'm honored, thank you. Yeah, well, I'm honored to meet you. It's going to be very interesting because you and I are both atheists.
Atheists are coming out all over.
And this is Metro Morning on the 16th of August, Thursday. I'm Andy Barry. Good morning. Coming up, we're going to meet a rapper who's spreading the word against a belief in God. Ever since I said that I was creating an album, I've been getting all sorts of hate mail by the thousands.
Yeah.
They'll leave you brainwashed, off, and lost like a pack of Mormons.
Yeah.
So you're accusing Mormons of being brainwashed.
Absolutely.
You're going on the attack.
Absolutely. But then again,
Graydon Square is ready to do battle, and he's taking his message to anyone who will listen. He says this battle between those who believe in God and those who do not will be the next clash of civilizations.
I'm very passionate about what I do because religion is a disease. It has been, you know, since it was introduced into society by you know, power-hungry men who wanted to take advantage of people, who wanted a way to control. I mean, look at the way you control a populace these days. It doesn't take much. It takes two things: hope and fear. The hope for heaven, the fear of hell. That's it.
Look how they indoctrinating these kids to believe in Santa Claus for adults. That's what it is.
Graydon Square's relationship with God deteriorated within the last 2 years. So why is this born-again atheist so adamant that there is no God? And how does he know for sure?
If you can provide me with evidence available to the five senses that there is a God, then I'll gravitate towards that. I will accept God as God. Unfortunately, there is no evidence available to the five senses. Not my sight, not my smell, not my sound, not my taste, not my touch. It just isn't there.
So there's no proof there is a God.
If I believe in God, if I've committed my life to God, and there's some reason why I shouldn't, I'm the first one that wants to hear that. I'm the first one that wants to see what this proof is. I don't see any proof, that's all.
And there's no proof there is not a God. Where lies the burden of proof? Both the believers and the non-believers want tangible evidence.
Just look at this. Sunshine, blue skies, palm trees, and the shimmering ocean. Who says there's no God?
The burden is not upon the atheist to prove the absence of God. And all of us have managed to ignore Zeus and Apollo and thousands of other dead gods that are interred in this mass grave we call mythology.
Here at Venice Beach in Los Angeles, California, City of Angels, Sam Harris says the matter of a belief in God is more than a philosophical argument. Religion, and especially leaving some religions, is downright dangerous.
The crime of apostasy, the crime of disavowing Islam, is a killing offense according to 40% of young British Muslims ages 16 to 24. That's, you know, that's an extreme position. You know, it's extremely dangerous, it's extremely stupid. So the polling results in the Muslim world are terrifying, and the polling results in the United States in terms of Christian fundamentalism are also quite depressing. 53% of Americans think the universe is 6,000 years old. You know, that's mind-boggling.
Sam Harris wrote his book, Letter to a Christian Nation, as a kind of warning to his God-fearing American brothers and sisters. Harris claimed all those people who climbed to their attics and then to their rooftops, praying all the while to be saved from the rising waters of Katrina, died talking to an imaginary friend. Still, Katrina survivors say it strengthened their faith in God. But why does it matter to people like Sam Harris whether people pray to God or not?
It blocks us from creating a truly new and intellectually honest version of spirituality and ethics.
There is no such thing as a spare embryo.
Some are calling the current U.S. presidency a theocracy, especially when decisions like the ban on stem cell research are informed by religious beliefs.
Every embryo is unique, and each of us started out our life this way.
Here we have an ignoramus in chief, based explicitly upon his religious convictions, who is, I think, without question, prolonging the misery of tens of millions of people. And he's doing it smugly and unselfconsciously, based entirely on his on what he believes about the human soul and the possibility that there are human souls in petri dishes.
But Tom Harper, a moderate Christian, says let's not throw the baby out with the bath water. The soul is what unites us as human beings.
I believe the good news is that you and I have the spark of the divine within us, that we are children of this living presence, which is the very ground of all being. Here, boy.
The spark of the divine is what Tom Harper explores in his latest book, Water into Wine. For him, the Bible is a metaphor. It's not to be taken literally.
You see them, Lucy?
But it's this moderate position that Harris says does a lot of damage.
He is ignoring the fact that better than 50% of the American population right now is animated by a God who hates homosexuals and for whom abortion is the main problem and gay marriage is the main problem of the 21st century. A God who will whip up hurricanes and tsunamis to punish people. The God of the Bible is an angry, jealous God who objects to the worship of other gods and thinks that's a killing offense.
Well, you know, it says in the Bible that the fool has said in his heart, there is no God. So no Godism is foolishness, according to the Bible.
You could say the fool has said in his heart, there is no Zeus. You know, what is that? Does that single-handedly revive paganism? I don't think so.
When we come back, can we be good without God? Do you believe in God?
No. No. When I say I don't believe in God, they say, well, you should because God is great. Sometimes I tell my friends that I don't believe in God, and they say, well, if you don't believe in God, you're going to hell when you die.
They're just like, you don't believe in God? How can you not believe in God? You can't be good without God.
Most of us are given our belief in God as a birthright. It's passed on from generation to generation, much like this children's Bible. It's where we learnt about the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Some people even argue you can't be good without God. But what do unbelievers pass on to their children?
So today we're going to talk a little bit about secularism.
These young people at Camp Quest in Niagara Falls, Ontario, call themselves freethinkers. The summer camp was started by Chris and Kathy Meidel to promote secularism, separation of church and state.
All kinds of freethinkers can be with other children like them, because sometimes the children feel alone when they're among, the majority of their religious peers. They feel alone.
Me, I believe that there is no God, but they all believe that there is God. So I am saying I don't care what you think. I think that there is no God. It doesn't matter.
Without God in your life as such, how do you develop your moralities, how to see the world? What is that based on?
It's like, if you want to be treated nice, you just treat other people nice, not because you're going to go to hell if you don't.
We should only treat people the way that we would want to be treated.
You have to be a little bit bold. I think it's similar to what the gay community experienced. You have to take the first step and say, no, I'm not like what you say. I am a good person. I'm this, I'm that. I don't follow your beliefs. I don't follow your lifestyle. But that doesn't make me bad. I'm just as good as you are. I'm just like you. I just have a different philosophy. I just have a different lifestyle.
How was it for you when you came out of the closet?
It was a little scary, but I kind of, at that point, you go, this is who I am. If you're not going to, if you can't accept it, that's your choice, but I'm not going to pretend to be something that I'm not. I feel a sense of pride about being an atheist when I do a good thing, that it really is, it's coming from me. I'm doing it as a active contributor or co-creator of the world and the society that I want to create.
And that world for the Meidels is a world without God in everyday rituals.
Well, I can't sing the national anthem of my own country with the same degree of pride as a Christian can.
God keep our land glorious and free. In Canada, separation of church and state is not written into the Constitution as it is in the U.S. Yet, we consider ourselves a secular nation. So how much God do we want in our public sphere?
sit down for the portion of the anthem that talks about God.
Being an atheist can be not only lonely, but downright dangerous. Justin Trottier felt the wrath of the believer as he publicized an event for the Center for Inquiry in downtown Toronto earlier this year.
A colleague and I were postering at Ryerson University in Toronto for an event. It was a speaker who was coming to talk about his book called God, the Failed Hypothesis, Dr. Victor Stenger. So it had God, the Failed Hypothesis, and big on these 11 by 17 posters.
You must have known somebody was going to come at you.
No, I don't think it's right. Somebody comes at you because you have a provocative event that you're postering for. One of them walked up to me and said, you know, watch your smart mouth, slaps me on the face a few times, and then butted me in the head with his hat. If this had happened to a Muslim or a gay person promoting a Muslim or a pro-gay event, and the situation was completely identical, there would be absolutely no question that it was motivated by hate for a person's belief system or minority status, if you will, and it would be prosecuted as such.
But the assault on Trottier was not ruled a hate crime, and atheists feel marginalized in other ways too.
And God bless Canada. And God bless Canada. God bless Canada.
In the last Canadian census, 5 million Canadians checked off no affiliated religion, making that the third largest group in Canada after Catholics and Protestants. Should Prime Minister Stephen Harper be asking God to bless Canada?
Of course, I'd like him to stop doing it. The Prime Minister is a public agent, or is a public servant, if you will, and I think he should represent the public fully and as inclusively as possible. We love Canada, but we don't necessarily think God has any business being invoked in such a place.
Canada still reveres God in many of its public ceremonies, something Justin Trottier fought against and won when he had any mention of God banned from the University of Toronto graduation ceremonies last year.
It spoke of God as being the source of all knowledge. In fact, we know that religion was responsible during the Dark Ages for stopping the progress of knowledge. So it's entirely inappropriate to be thanking God basically for getting students to where they are, when students should be thanking themselves, other students, the faculty, the people who made it happen, and their own hard work, not some divine pseudo-mythical entity in the sky.
We had a census, the last census in Canada, in which 17% of Canadians asked what religion they were, said they had no religion. Doesn't mean they don't believe in God, but they said they had no religion. You've got numbers like that. You've got Richard Dawkins topping the bestseller list with the God delusion. Mm-hmm. It seems to me that atheists shouldn't be on the defensive. Feels to me like you're part of a rising tide.
Not necessarily. The theists always have the numbers. We're pretty much, water against the rocks. I mean, I would like a society of reason, of critical thinking. I mean, if we allow ourselves to simply, sit on the sidelines and wait for some invisible man to fix our problems for us, we will tear ourselves apart. We will allow our world, the only world we have, to destroy itself. Why?
Yo, they act like I set out to be famous, talking out the anus. They go on to describe my lyrics as heinous. It's funny.
At the Center for Inquiry, a drop-in center for agnostics, humanists, and skeptics, Graydon Square finds his congregation. His flock lines up to get a copy of his latest sermon, a CD called The Compton Effect.
You just want to hold another girl.
That's what it is. That's always what it is.
Most people here have already made up their minds about God. Well, almost everyone.
Why do you not believe in God?
Well, basically, I don't believe in God because of the same reason that you don't believe in Thor or any other guys that you've never. I just feel like, people need to make a choice. I mean, either you believe, if there's evidence, there for you to believe in a God, or there isn't. Plain and simple.
I would be forlorn tomorrow if I were to get up in a godless world. Ultimately, you have to decide that your life is built on despair.
Atheism built on despair? These atheists say, au contraire.
Well, before I launch into my heresy, I'm just kidding.
Back in the basement of infidels, heretics, and apostates, humanists like Dr. Khalid Sohail, who organized this meeting of unbelievers from the East and the West, has hope that disbelief in God can actually bring people together.
I am okay saying goodbye to God, but what about morality?
For Dr. Sohail, saying goodbye to God has been a lifelong project. He was a Muslim, then an atheist, and now a secular humanist.
To me, the analogy is that I heard that in the native Indians, that an old man, when he's about to die, in the middle of the night, he walks out, he goes into the snow, and he dies. So that God that I had, finally I had a nice discussion with him. I said, we were together for 20 years or so, and it was nice. You are an elderly father, and I think it's time for you to go. I'm grown up. I can look after myself. And after that, I think we parted.
But while Dr. Sohail is fully out of the closet, his life partner, Beth Davis, has not yet taken that final step away from her Catholic faith.
This is absolutely terrifying, because it really is like removing a dimension of yourself that is so integral. It is woven in to every aspect of your life. The way that you relate to people, the way that you think about yourself and your honesty, the way that you celebrate your love for another person. Because in religious circumstances, we have certain celebrations that are associated with loving bonds.
I'm trying to save you.
There's no doubt that God is tightly woven into the fabric of our society, and many find comfort in that. But in this conversation about what to believe in, atheists have seen the glory of no God and want to sing its praises.
It's not that we do not like religion or don't want any part of religion, so to speak. It's that we've discovered that there's more to life than believing in such things as religion.
For The National, I'm Clifton Joseph, a fence-sitting agnostic waiting for an epiphany.